Next Leap, an Iron March publication. Cosmic Order. This is chapter 2 here. It's a Sunday morning. Can probably knock out the entirety of this chapter, which is about 30 pages, in a single recording, hopefully. So, let's get started. Cosmic Order. Next Leap, an Iron March publication. Chapter 2, Cosmic Order. Cosmic Order and You, by Alexander Slavros. The cosmic order defines everything in existence. It's simply the rules of how everything is. Thus, it encompasses everything in both the material and immaterial worlds, otherwise referred to by Evola as world and superworld, the two halves that make up reality, with the material world being a projection of the metaphysical world. So the cosmic order defines the laws of nature and the laws of the spiritual plane and everything within. So when we talk about the laws of nature, we still refer to something that is defined by the cosmic order. Then we have humanity, which also adheres to the laws, or truths, of the cosmic order, and thus to the truths of the material and immaterial worlds. Meaning that there is a material/biological truth about humanity that is related to the laws of nature, and there is also a spiritual/metaphysical truth about humanity. Together they define the human condition as the only entity that can achieve transcendence. This truth obviously affects all humans. Moving on further down, humanity is universally split into the male and female sexes, which in turn have their own respective truths that determine male and female nature, while also adhering to the truths of the human condition and the truths of the material and immaterial worlds and the cosmic order. We then come to race, that humanity is divided into many races, and here we see that each race has a threefold truth, that every race in its full vision is made up of a race of body, race of soul or mind, and race of spirit. Thus, belonging to a certain race implies being defined by those truths, on top of truths about your sex, belonging to humanity and the truths of the material/immaterial worlds and the cosmic order in its totality. Next follows ethnicity and truths that may come with it, something we in part discussed previously, namely that there can be empire-building ethnicities and those who exist in the periphery, or how there can be ethnicities that constitute nations and those that don't. Point being that here you find an ethnic truth that also defines you along with your racial truth of your sex, truths of the human condition, belonging to the material/immaterial complex of reality, and thus to the cosmic order. Finally, you can talk about your immediate family, the specific line you come from as a particular individual in the here and now. One could argue that there may be a certain familial truth, but that it has been eroded so much over time that what family you come from has less influence in spiritual terms, albeit may have some significance for you in temporal terms. Regardless, it also helps shape you, even if it's just some petty Freudian effect at play and nothing grander anymore. Still, being able to trace your family line back can bring about some restored deeper meaning and thus a more profound familial truth. And then there's you, the individual. You are the amalgamation of all those things, while also being the exclusion of everything that isn't related to you, and yet you are the manifestation of the cosmic order all the same. As above, so below. A graphic here. I think this one was in the goodness, what was that one called? Zero Tolerance, it was. Fascism 101, upside down pyramid. On top you have universal truth or cosmic order. Below that's the material and immaterial worlds. Below that's humanity. Below that's male and female. Underneath there's race, and below that's ethnicity. And at the very bottom you have family. And right below the upside down pyramid is a person. As above, so below. Your personal truth that unravels your nature in accordance to all other truths that affect you in the cosmic order, defining your potential, i.e. destiny. You may strive to reach your full potential or fall to your lowest point. Moving on, back to main text. With all these things in mind, you can trace your exact relation to the cosmic order and the ultimate truth, by virtue of being a very particular manifestation of said truth. In the same fashion, as a statue is carved out of a solid block of stone, the individual is a result of chipping away anything general that doesn't apply to you and your personal truth. You're human, so a general human form is carved from the solid block of stone. You're male, general male features are carved. You are of a certain race, so those features are carved next. A certain ethnicity, more specific features are carved. Thus you hold a certain ethnic truth, a certain racial truth, a male or female truth, and the truth of the human condition, and finally, the truth of reality and the universal truth itself. The macrocosm of the cosmic order is reflected in the microcosm of you. In this we recognize the importance of all levels and not just discard one as we move on to the next, thus we follow that chain that connects you directly to the cosmic order. Being human is important, but moreover than that, you are a specific sex. Moreover still, you are a certain race. Moreover, a certain ethnicity. Yet you can't be one without the other. You are the amalgamation of these aspects that carve out the one unique person. Evola, for one, treated nationalism dubiously because it can be used as a force to generalize, but this is in fact reflective of involution and restoration. In involution, we move towards generalization, from quality to quantity, from organism to mechanism. Thus nationalism becomes a tool to generalize. Then race becomes a tool to generalize, and finally humanity becomes a tool to generalize. But with each step, the previous one is discarded. In restoration, on the other hand, we say, no, I'm not just merely human, I am more than that. We don't deny our humanity, we just say there is more. We say I belong to a certain race. And so our nature moves away from generalization. No, I'm not just a race, I'm a certain ethnicity. We carry it all with us, while making our nature more and more specific, and thus we become a reflection of the cosmic order. The reason why our enemy discards everything on its path to generalization is because their conception of the truth is that it has to be a simple one-liner blanket term that affects everything the same way at once, whereas our truth holds one accountable to their distinct nature, meaning that in adhering to racial truth, you must adhere to the truth of your race, because it has its own distinct nature and place. Our truth, in this regard, is like a puzzle, every piece in its place. Their truth is a bunch of same-colored, blank, perfectly squared tiles. You can assort them however you want, and saying that you can't put this tile next to another tile, or that it can't be done specifically on that side to that side, would be discrimination, inequality, sexism, racism, homophobia, etc. How dare you say this tile can't be together with that tile touching on this side? Bigot? Our truth is universal, but it is particular and differentiated, meaning that it holds different groups accountable differently, by their own specific standards. The cosmic order affects all these listed aspects because it is all of it. There are material and immaterial worlds, and that is part of the cosmic truth. Respective truths of the material and immaterial worlds are simultaneously truths of the cosmic order. They are part of the universal truth. Humanity is affected by material and immaterial truths, and thus universal truth. Male/female sex and race are affected by human truth, and through it by the material/immaterial truths and the universal truth. Ethnicity is then likewise affected by racial truth, and through it, etc., etc. You get the point. All the truths compound and align one another, I think I messed that up. You get the point. All the truths compound and align one through another, which is how we come to contain the macrocosm of the universal truth in the microcosm of one's personal truth. See, on the other hand, our enemies and how they oppose the truth in all its forms. Even as they generalize us towards being just humans, they do so while rejecting all the truths of the human condition. They reject that races exist. There are no races, we are all human, and erode the truth of male and female nature. I'm a woman trapped in a man's body, and gender roles are a social construct. And in the opposition to the universal truth, in any and all of its manifestations, they directly oppose those who adhere to the truth. An affront to any of these truths becomes an affront against you by virtue of you adhering to that truth as part of your nature, as part of your personal truth. As above, so below. When they attack any aspect of the truth, they attack you as the carrier of truth. Nationality is just citizenship. insult to your ethnic truth, insult to the cosmic order, insult to you. No such thing as race. Insult to your racial truth, insult to the cosmic order, insult to you. Gender/sex is open to interpretation as anything you want it to be. Insult to the truth of your sex, insult to the cosmic order, insult to you. Once we go down this list of aspects that help define your personal truth, we are not left with something exact, but we are left with a specific scope of possibilities in accordance to your nature. We are left with one's potential, with one's destiny in the Francis Parker Yockey sense of the word. Your personal truth defines your standards, how great you can become or how low you can fall, though nothing can be as low as outright betraying your nature and thus opposing truth itself. You can note how the situation is once again exactly the opposite in the enemy camp, where through generalization you are led to believe that you can be anything you want and achieve anything you want, thus the entitlement and degeneracy. In terms of racial truth, you can also see how race mixing becomes reprehensible as it makes the truth uncertain in the produced individual. Nature is diluted, and thus it becomes harder to identify the racial truth of a mongrel, as it is to be identified by other temporal, circumstantial elements. But the more mixing occurs over generations, the more diluted racial truth becomes. Our goal is the organic state, the temporal manifestation of the cosmic order, meaning a society where one can fully realize their personal truth and then pursue their own individual paths with its particular highs and lows, where one celebrates their personal truth and then pursues his destiny. Instead of a society of entitlement where everyone is only concerned with what they want, we seek a society where people realize what they are and thus recognize what they need, and in that find happiness, making it what they want as well. If you only operate by what you want, you think in terms of interests and falsehoods. If you operate by what you are in relation to the greater order of things, you think in terms of truth. Another image here. You either believe in the scientific method and the truth, and you apply it to yourself without egotism, otherwise you don't believe in the scientific method and you're kidding yourself. Let me uninvert my colors here. I think that's George Rockwell. Yes, it is. A gear with 3 arms, all of them grabbing each other at the wrist. And I'll pick back up with another recording.